Pierre Cardin.
Pierre Cardin.
Pierre.
You know, Pierre Cardin.
Il s'est pas servi des livres d'histoire pour faire ses créations. Il a inventé un style.
C'est un architecte.
C'est un homme d'affaires.
A little bit of a sellout.
Une contradiction.
Homme de théâtre, homme de cinéma.
A control freak.
A label, a logo, a legend.
Bâtisseur. Créateur. Un génie.
Génie, un gêne.
In a word, chic.
David, Todd, greetings from Las Vegas.
Hello. It looks like you're at Maxine's de Paris.
I know you brought Cardin with you.
I had to, you know. He's my guest today, along with both of you. And thank you so much for talking to me today about your documentary about Pierre Cardin. I enjoyed it immensely. And 98 years old, what a legacy. And I understand you guys were even skeptical that a Pierre Cardin even existed.
We have this sort of feeling that he was one of those people that doesn't like that they created a name
Like
to
Betty
sell you a
Crocker.
product, you know, as opposed to that there really was this person. He's different than somebody like Karl Lagerfeld or even Calvin Klein, who put themselves very much out front of their brand. And he really kind of sat back more and he's not like the guy who went to Studio 54. So you don't even really have, I don't think, a real image in your mind of like, what does he look like? You know his brand, you certainly know that P, and you certainly know the cologne bottle. But I don't know that you necessarily know, like, you know, who is the guy? Who is Mr. Cardin?
And
So,
a short description, where does Pierre Cardin hold himself in the world of fashion historically? Because after viewing the documentary, I had no idea of his influence.
Well, you know, he's the last living of the great couturiers. You know, I think of Pierre Cardin growing up in the 70s, but this is a guy who opened the house of Dior. I mean, he is the story of French fashion. He was right there with Chanel and, you know, all the big names that we all know so well. So,
yeah, he belongs in the pantheon, and he's and also he is somebody who has sort of insidiously affected all of what we know of as fashion today. The way that he invented the concept of licensing and branding has become, you know, de rigueur for the way that people do business now. You didn't used to, as a designer, think about whether or not there was you know, kind of a lifestyle element to what you were doing. You weren't trying to brand and create a feeling that other people could kind of buy into along with your brand. You were creating beautiful clothes for beautiful women, you know, of Paris and you know, of high society. And Cardin reached out and decided that he really felt like fashion and self-expression especially should be for everybody. He democratized the concept of what it was to be interested in fashion with bringing pret-a-porter to the people. And that's something that has sort of drawn a direct line all the way to streetwear.
And he was the first to go to India, first to go to China, Japan, Russia. And I was fascinated. He used the Great Wall, became his personal runway.
Pretty much. Yeah, he's done more than one show on the Great Wall of China, and we were very lucky to while we were filming, have them stage this incredible show.
I mean, with a career like his, and we didn't know all this. We knew his furniture. We knew his cologne. We didn't know all this history in fashion. And then when you got to the 70s, when he started going to China and Russia, and those in and of themselves are epic stories filled with just incredible details, incredible people. And he changed the course of the world in many ways.
And you said you didn't know his history, but you had unprecedented access to his archives and his business. Where do you even start with such a century of tradition? Where do you begin telling his story?
Yeah,
It was not easy.
It began, you know, as a 3-hour epic with way too much in it, and we just had to start honing the story down. We really did just close our eyes and ask the editors to figure out how to bring it down to 90 minutes, and then we would work from there. And so once they got us into that format, and also our producer Corey Coppola and our sales agent Daniela Elsner watched that early cut, that 3-hour cut, And they really helped us with an idea, which was to no longer worry about chronology in trying to tell the story, but rather focus on ideas. So fashion, design, globalism, theater, etc., and that should be more of our guidepost about how to tell his story. And once we got hooked onto that idea, once that structure took place, it was just much easier to try to figure out how to tell the story.
And my takeaway from this documentary was, is the world of fashion available to just a choice few? Because I went through my preppy phase in the 80s and I would see Pierre Cardin and all those designers in Macy's as I walked by, but I'm an Old Navy, Gap, Lucky Brand kind of guy. And I always thought that was a different world that was never for me. It was always this, it was almost like a fairy tale with that fashion designers in that entire world.
Well, remember, this is the man who democratized fashion. This is the man who in 1950 was, coming from that fancy world of Dior and Balenciaga and Chanel, where it was rich white women. And he said, why shouldn't everyone have it? So he was the first to do designer clothes at a price people could afford.
And to put them in an environment that people felt comfortable, to put them into department stores where the normal person shopped, instead of just at the haute couture salons of Paris. So it's funny because he is the man who said fashion should be for everybody, and why can't everybody participate in that kind of self-expression? And I think that it's been something that's kind of, the ripples of that have gone out through the culture ever since.
And finally today, tell me about the film festival circuit. I know you took the film to Chicago and even Venice, which had to be a wonderful, because he's Venetian, right? Originally raised in France, and also the reaction at Palm Springs Film Festival. So how was that entire journey with your documentary?
Well, that was a real dream that we got to do it, first of all, because that come March, everything shut down. We had 25 film festivals lined up for the spring and for the summer that were like dominoes. They just kept falling over. And so that we had that fantastic experience of the world premiere in Venice with Mr. Cardin there to witness his own standing ovation was just a phenomenal experience.
And Chicago and Doc NYC and Reykjavik, Iceland gave us a very warm reception. And then Palm Springs, we live here. So the Palm Springs Film Festival was just a dream because, the town really embraced us, and Pierre Cardin, because he has a legacy here. He built one of our biggest hotels, which is now a Hyatt. But in 1986, it was the first and only Maxims de Paris suite hotel. So, and then his nephew, Rodrigo, and Matthew Gonder came out for Modernism Week. And we got him a star on the Walk of Fame. And so we had just a great time. And we were at a film festival in France when the travel ban was announced. And we had like 48 hours to get out of France, which was pretty nerve-wracking, with Nastasia Kinski and Vittorio Storaro, who were
the other tributees that were there.
Well, one of my dear friends lives in Palm Springs. He's Manny De La Rosa, Manny the movie guy on KMIR.
We were just talking to him this morning.
Oh, you really? Yeah, he's one of my dear friends, and he's Mr. Palm Springs as far as I'm concerned. So
one of the great things about doing the premieres here in Palm Springs is how much everybody loves to participate. So people came in vintage dress, and it was a party, and it was kind of the last party, like that March. I'm trying even to remember what the date of that was, but a lot of people have sent to us afterwards saying, wow, that was really the last time we all got together, because the whole community came out to celebrate the movie and Mr. Cardin and have fun with it, dance, because we had a couple of parties that went around, and it was really quite an experience.
Manny did a great piece on us. Yeah. Really funny.
He's great. Yeah. Yeah. Well, David, Todd, thank you so much for talking to me today. You both look great, by the way. You got a great sense of fashion. Who's your friend walking in the background back there?
That's Oops. She's the new girl. We've only had her for about 6 weeks, and we have Fido, who's around here somewhere. Fido's the queen.
I haven't been to Palm Springs in a while, so I'll come visit you, and you got to come visit us in Las Vegas when.
We're going to come to Vegas to come see Dionne Warwick the minute she's allowed to play again. So.
Oh, wonderful! All right, well, congratulations on the documentary. Thank you for talking to me, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, thanks Jeffrey.